couple of markers in the last couple of weeks.
See the form lines there for the two teams. Well, certainly the Case Wanderers would have been so frustrated at being beaten in Perth last Friday week, because their derby performance showed that the gap may not be that big between them and the very top of the competition, but points-wise, that loss to Perth really put a dent in any hope they had of at least pressuring Melbourne City in the race for the Premier's place.
You'd imagine so, but Melbourne City, of course, are the team that everyone is chasing for very good reason. You know, they've got a lot of talent missing, high-quality, big-name talent missing, and when that comes back into frame off the injury and physio table, I'm sure be causing a lot of nervousness around the league. For Macarthur, the home team, supporting the Sony Foundation in their pink strips, which is fantastic. We had the Brisbane Roar showing their support for epilepsy last night, playing in purple. So great from both clubs in the A-League, and Macarthur need the 3 points, pure and simple.
Long attempted diagonal ball out to Andrew Naboot, not able to chase it down.
Their collapse against the Mariners last week was very, very disappointing. Necessarily the team you want to play when you're looking to bounce back with desperation. Melbourne City have been so strong this season.
Rado Vidizic wearing the long track bottoms there, clearly not too daunted by the heat. No shorts for him. And as we see Thomas Lavuskok with a high clearance. Game's not exactly got off to the most rapid start during the first 2 minutes, and you imagine, given the temperature, there would be a bit of a feeling out period as both sides work out exactly how intense they can be with the pressing and the ball movement. Here's a chance for Macarthur to look sprightly. Long throw from Holman. Was hoping for Toure, but it's been intercepted, and now Boss with a giveaway. Bacchus slid in, couldn't retain the ball. And Reyes goes back to his goalkeeper, Tom Glover. There is one fly in the ointment for Melbourne City, Andy. They haven't kept a clean sheet since January 21, 7 in a row now, since they went a game without their defence being breached. So there's always something to work on, even when you're top of the tree.
Well, very obviously not impregnable. And there's enough teams in the competition who believe that they can get the job done against them when such is required. It's required for Macarthur today. The question for the next 85 minutes plus is how strongly do Macarthur believe they can do it, how much desperation are they prepared to unleash.
Slick to play the ball to Barisha at the edge of the area, but he couldn't thread through Tilio, who has 2 goals in his last 3. Defending being done by Ivan Bojica. Tilio engaged again. Aidan O'Neill being kept accountable by Bojica down in that corner. City load up on this right flank once more. Tilio, third time lucky, not quite. And it's Jason Romero, the American injury replacement signing, who's guarding him now, back helping out the defence. Melbourne City out of the tight spaces on this right side, trying to unlock the Macarthur defence, and they're able to retain the ball. Jamison, it's going to deflect past Barisha. Right now, the game is taking place in one little square of the pitch. Almost like a small-sided game. And eventually, Macarthur will break the shackles through Danny De Silva. Aspropotomitis and De Silva. Now Bojica. I spoke too soon. They're still trapped in the corner.
Well, firstly, in possession, that was good tight play from Melbourne City, and Macarthur did well to keep the area congested, despite the fact they couldn't get the ball. But Melbourne City's trademark response is to close the vice as quickly as you can, and Macarthur haven't been able to get out of that part of the field yet, and so too again now.
Geordie Voss stops and props and plays it back to Curtis Good. Nuno Rash. Now Callum Talbot. Macarthur, no interest in engaging until the halfway line is crossed, and now still happy to let Melbourne City drift right to the edge of the attacking third. Didn't like the options on the left side, so a switch back to Talbot. Glancing all around the pitch, and he tries through the middle and finds Barisha over the top. Jamie McLaren is not able to run that down. A little bobble from Philip Curto, not the most convincing first touch of the game for him, but he's able to retain the ball with no one else present.
A nice bit of experimentation there from Barisha. Good run from McLaren. Couldn't quite get it synced up. It's very clever.
Aidan O'Neill. 1-2 with Berisha. Now the switch of flank. Boss and Naboot not on the same wavelength initially, but still able to recover the ball. And now Naboot is running. Boss jams inside. Naboot and Jamison. City's ball at the moment. Macarthur not able to win it off them. O'Neill square to Talbot. Talbot hits that a little straight. Not quite the shape he was hoping for on that mid-range cross.
Yeah, good start from Melbourne City. Macarthur, by my estimation, which could be a bit scratchy, haven't had the ball inside Macarthur's half yet. They barely had the ball at all, but certainly not approaching 7 minutes of game time in their attacking half of the field. Very dominant. Here's a go now for Holman. No, can't win the duel.
Boss did, but it was short-lived. Miller.
Hey, shoot!
Toure were able to bring it under his control, the high pass.
I think the formation change by Milo Sturjovski is going to help Al-Hassan Toure. Playing two up front is virtually a diamond four-man midfield for Macarthur, which allows Toure to get more into the middle, which I think is his best position.
Bit of conjecture. Assistant referee initially said goal kick, but it's been flipped to a corner. And so after absorbing for 7 minutes, now Macarthur get a set piece.
Forcing the error, Al-Hassan Toure. Have to work overly hard for it. Got the result.
82% possession, Melbourne City so far. Count for little if they concede a goal right here. Danny De Silva hangs it high beyond the far post. Thomas Lavuskok is up. He had two defenders to deal with. Now the counter-attack could stretch the pitch right now. Bacchus with the pass to Vujitsa. And any hope of a counter-attack is quickly diffused.
Well, Tullio didn't need to... Attilio, rather. Tullio's just played. In Melbourne, Marco Attilio didn't need to try and control that. He just needed to help it on. First time to Jamie McLaren, and then the counter-attack would have materialised. Teo. Speaking of Melbourne City, the graphics we put up pre-game suggested they were playing three at the back with two wing-backs. But Scott Jamison there, he is centre of the field, centre of the pitch, and number 3 is clearly being deployed as a midfielder with Geordie Boss as the left fullback.
In front of him. Hey!
There is Geordie Boss, first Socceroos senior call-up this week for the game against... Well, the games against Ecuador, which you'd think would almost certainly result in his first cap and his international debut.
Well, I'd hope so. He's shown enough this year that, depending on how he settles in camp, etc., and how Graham Arnold, the coaching staff, assess his personality and readiness for this sort of thing, because that's always what we don't see on the telly necessarily, but it's a really important part of a player's progression and ascension. But you'd like to think, I can't see why, what we've seen, that Geordie Boss isn't going to be. This is going to be the start of a very fruitful Socceroos career. He's an outstanding talent.
In terms of earning it in front of our eyes, watching the Isuzu UTE A-League men's, it's been very easy and very satisfying to track his progression. Not just because of the way City play, but his own performances have really unfolded. You can point to plenty of moments in his play that makes it a very enjoyable thing to watch when you see the youngsters coming through in this sort of a manner. Matt Miller goes for the long ball, trying to release Toure, but Curtis Good is there. A couple of touches to bring the ball under control, and now uses Jamison and the aforementioned Geordie Boss. O'Neill. Berisha stripped of the ball. Well played by Romero, and now Bacchus to De Silva. What can Macarthur do? Not much. De Silva frustrated with his team.
So they're a mile away at the moment, Macarthur. At least a mile away from making an impression here. They're slow to the pressure, touches sloppy, the ball movement when they get it, and you might think it's hard to make a judgment on that because in the 10 minutes that's been played, they've probably had it for 60 seconds. But they're a mile off at the moment, Macarthur.
Naboot. And now Talbot. Tilio. City want to work a little bit closer to goal, and that pass from Jamison is going to allow Talbot to advance. Still Talbot. He's got dreams of a miracle goal, and then he defers to McLaren. It's blocked off the line. Keeper out of the equation. But ultimately, it was Tomislav Uskok who was in the road. And now the second time ball in is headed away by Miller. But Jamie McLaren nearly opened the scoring.
Excellent run from Talbot. Holman just backed off there. Might have been a little bit more aggressive then. Beautiful feet twice to make the angle for the cutback.
Would have been one heck of an assist. And he had the vision to know that McLaren was there, even though I suspect many players in that situation would be tempted to go for glory. Here's Rash. City asking really stern questions of the Macarthur defence now. And Miller is fighting hard at right back to try and hold them out. He's done well with a deflection to win a throw here. It's already 100 passes differential after 11.5 minutes in. Romero, deflection off Berisha. Tilio sold the contact. Referee right on the scene, not interested. Now Romero, Skatanis. Aidan O'Neill interrupted with a boot. Curtis Good, the boot, protecting the ball. And now Boss. A stutter step, and he's going to double back. Not much shouting coming from the technical area at the moment. Melbourne City methodically trying to pass through this Macarthur team. Rash. Long ball up the middle. A little bit overhit. Curto clasps on. Now exactly what they try in possession is the burning issue, given they've had 18% of it so far. Ball an unfamiliar device to Macarthur at the moment. Possession is immediately yielded back to Melbourne City as a result. Boss. Too clever by half. Caught in possession, and this might be Macarthur's opportunity. Skatanis quickly dispossessed by Curtis Good. I think Melbourne City need to be careful about rope-a-dope. They're going to be lulled into a false sense of security here. Miller. De Silva chasing. Boss. Now Jamison. To Naboot. Almost like a game of keepy-uppy at the moment. That's well worked by Miller to De Silva. Flips it to Skatanis. And now the shot's on for Toure. Romero goes and chases it down at the byline. No juice behind it initially. Toure again, though, with it all to do. Frees the feet. And here's the attempt from De Silva. And they had fashioned a chance there, Macarthur. As we mentioned off the top, Melbourne City have not kept a clean sheet in 7 consecutive. And they've asked a question here.
A little bit of clever play there from Al-Hassan Toure to Daniel De Silva, two impressive young talents for Macarthur. Couldn't find the target, so just a little warning shot for Melbourne City. And having the complete run of it so far, but you don't score in our game, you're forever open to punishment, as improbable as that might have been.
And so after 13 minutes of one-way traffic, Macarthur have shown that it could be a sting if Melbourne City switch off. Rash. Expect Good to do the distributing this time. Good. Yeah, doesn't like his options. It's almost like they're debating with each other who's going to play the incisive pass here. Neither defender overly confident. And thus the ball remains in an unthreatening position. And now Good engages. Good underneath run. Jamison cutting it across. All sorts of space for McLaren, and it's blocked away again. Poyetza this time. The follow-up from O'Neill takes a deflection, headed by Bacchus. Two chances in the box. Both of them blocked by defenders for Jamie McLaren so far. Naboot whips the ball towards Geordie Boss, and Uskok is able to drive it away.
Good desperate defending. The Melbourne City with a strong start and more chances of goal. That's a bit like their performance that ended in a 4-2 loss to Adelaide. You think of the number of good chances they had early. Jamie McLaren had support there as well. Ballon Berisha, I think, would have appreciated just a little square dishing off of that ball for him to finish.
McLaren waiting beyond the back post. First corner of the game for Melbourne City. Berisha going for McLaren. Wants it back to the edge of the 6-yard area. And De Silva, safety first, puts it out for another corner kick. Jamie McLaren, who wasn't in the Socceroos squad, he'll be rehabbing a broken toe during the international break, but still fit enough to go today. Berisha right on to the fists of Curto. Jamison hooks it down. Talbot a bit of a task. Boss. The defence moved up a little quickly, and Berisha, even though he was onside, wasn't able to control the pass.
And you're just looking at how desperately Macarthur are having to defend, camped in their box. They've had one side at the goal, Teo, which came close. Basically, it's been a Melbourne City procession. All the discussion around the competition has been who's going to qualify for the 6. Only Melbourne Victory is spoken of in this, with the spectre of the wooden spoon. And I think it's time for people to look at Macarthur, who've come into this comp winning the Cup, the Australia Cup. Now they've had 2 wins in their last 9 and some heavy defeats in that run. They don't get the points here tonight. They're going to slip into that wooden spoon discussion.
We see a ball for Toure here. No one to square it to. Now Romero arrives. And here's Holman. The attack still going for Macarthur. How they would love to score against the run. Vujicic's cross. And now De Silva with a volley. It didn't catch a deflection. That's a goal kick.
Welcome bit of energy from Macarthur on the attack. Vujicic slinging in a dangerous one. But the more impressive work was done a little bit earlier in that attack. Daniel De Silva's got a great technique. Has scored from that sort of range, from that sort of circumstance before, but a long way short technically on that time of asking.
De Silva's goal last week was his first of the season against the Mariners. Romero. Skatatis. Brief window of opportunity. Decided to hook it back to Holman instead. Tries for the 360 spin. It happened in slow motion. Ball was glued to his feet. And now Bacchus. Macarthur sensing the chance to commit numbers forward, but it is short-lived.
Well, certainly more promising signs. And the turnover from Berisha, Ballon Berisha at halfway. And Macarthur were away. It's fortuitous. A mix of good fortune and wonderful footwork between Skatatis and Jake Holman.
So a lot more balance to the contest now over the last 3 to 4 minutes. Good. Really coming deep for the ball. Geordie Boss. O'Neill. And the boot. Boss able to turn and go. Takes the meters on offer here. And he went for the shot at the end. Teammates perhaps calling for the pass. Instead, he hooks it out for a goal kick.
Well, this is wasteful from Melbourne City. The 2 warnings have come in quick succession against them, but Geordie Boss now, again, just with a beautiful swerving run, and that's a really difficult angle when you've got Tilio 5 metres away. The very open pass option. A couple of times now, Melbourne City, we've mentioned Jamie McLaren shooting when maybe he could have helped Ballon Berisha to that opportunity, and then Geordie Boss deciding to shoot rather than release Tilio.
Curtis Good with a long ball. Uscock's header. It's there to be one in midfield. Through left O'Neill. Romero. Squeezes the ball to Skatatis. A slip from De Silva. Still had the awareness to touch on a little back heel. Boss stepping out of a 1-on-3. Great balance. And now Melbourne City can break with numbers. O'Neill, he trod on the ball at the key moment. The opportunity is not lost. Naboot. Jamison. Switches out to the right side. Tilio drops the shoulder. Marco Tilio, and it misses McLaren. Goal kick the result.
Dangerous one in from Tilio. And again, in the first instance, he's got the feeling after Geordie Boss had done so well to release Aidan O'Neill that he might have released the ball a little earlier before he trod on it, in fact. Nevertheless, Melbourne City were able to get themselves set again, and Tilio fires in that very tempting ball for Jamie McLaren, who just at full stretch couldn't quite make it.
Let's check in down on the sidelines. Tristan McManus, it feels like a goal isn't far away.
I don't think so, guys, but who's going to get it? That's the question. What's great at the moment here is just seeing the work rate of this home team. I mean, they have to be quite disciplined right now. They're not in any sort of hurry as a defensive unit. You can see Melbourne City, they're very comfortable knocking it around here at the back. They want Toure to engage. They want Romero to engage. But as soon as they do, they're just going to bop it over their heads. And how exciting is it when Jordy Boss gets on one of those runs? Callum Talbot proved whatever you can do, I can do better. It's really exciting game. I'm liking the way Macarthur are lining up. I'm loving even more how hard they're working for each other today.
Tristan, when are you making your volley ruse debut? That was a great little spike. We saw that, mate.
Whilst I was mid-air, Tony Popovich came into my head and I was like, what do I do here? I had a full panic. Apologies, guys. Next time it's a full header.
Yeah. No handball, no yellow card for Tristan McManus down on the sideline. As Macarthur, Miller, down by Nabut with the challenge from behind. A couple of teammates asking for a yellow card, but Miller, no such protest, just a free kick. Certainly not happy that Nabut came crashing in late. Nabut would have been at Melbourne Victory when Matthew Miller was playing NPL and National Youth League for Melbourne City. Butting heads for much of their careers, these two. And again, in this duel, left wing versus right back today. And now Miller is going to try and make Nabut accountable in the other direction. He squeezes the pass to De Silva. The square ball is intercepted by Curtis Good. Back to Glover. It's an on-target back pass, so he's going to be careful with those. Tillian working deep. Talbot. Now Macarthur ease off. Start to drop their midfield back. There's the numbers so far. It's been a midfield battle skewing towards Macarthur's defensive end. Possession stats still more than 75% going Melbourne City's way. Quarter of the day's action ticked over so far. Down comes Aspropotometis. Nabut leaps up for the header. Uskok. Boss shouts at time from the sidelines. O'Neill sprays it out to Talbot. Tilio. Rayish. Find a gap that wasn't there. The ball's going to run on. Voyetza sliding in, but being able to clear it as far as Curtis Good. Nabut. Space to work. Doesn't like the idea of the cross from deep, so he's going to send it back to O'Neill. Macarthur defence camped at the edge of the penalty area now. Looking up at Marco Tilio. Talbot just drifting back, and then he had the idea of the double back run, but Holman was well and truly awake to that danger. But the ball's not going to roll out for him here. A tangle of legs ensues. Working close quarters down in the corner. Referee has to jump out of the way, and ultimately the foul was committed by Aidan O'Neill. Spieth had to be nimble in order to jump away from that 50-50 ball. Otherwise, it might have been a 33.3 each, with the referee having his feet stuck in there. There's Lockie Rose on the sidelines. Returning to the bench today for Macarthur. Hasn't scored since November. Never scored versus Melbourne City in 5 appearances. Here's Nabut with Boss on the overlap. It all slows down a little bit. O'Neill. Runners break ahead of the ball. Cut back by Berisha. Here's Jamison. Blocked away by Bacchus. Now the outlet pass. Clever from Romero. And Toure backs his own speed. He's got the pitch to break into here, Al-Hassan Toure. And he beats it through. It's Romero. He rounds the keeper. And Macarthur score. What a moment for Jason Romero. The He's a man who's dominated the NPL in New South Wales for St George and Apia, and now he's got an A-League goal to his name.
Well, it's a bad blunder by Curtis Good on the Harvey Norman replay on halfway. It was a fantastic bit of leg speed from Aidan O'Neill to reel in Hassan Toure. That's not easy. This is a real heavyweight sprint. O'Neill does brilliantly, but it's a wonderful piece of play, presence of mind, coolness from Hassan Toure to find the UCLA Bruin, Jason Romero, out of the New South Wales NPL and IPL card to show his own measure of coolness and composure, to hammer Melbourne City's early dominance and give Macarthur the lead.
And Tom Glover, yeah, that sums up how Melbourne City fans around the country will be feeling. Imagine there's a few chair legs and coffee tables that received a kick just like Glover's into the post there. And the 28-year-old, the veteran pickup, gives Rado Vidičić plenty to ponder here. And Andy Harper, Melbourne City didn't convert, didn't capitalise on their dominance, and now they have a deficit to chase. And I mean, not to harp on the point, but we did mention they haven't kept a clean sheet in a long time, and today will continue that streak.
No, well, both those discussion points are extremely relevant, and we've seen in recent weeks Melbourne City with a really strong start, not finishing chances, and then, well, certainly I refer to the Adelaide United game. They ended up losing 4-2, but you watched the start of that match, and that was not a game they were going to lose. And Adelaide, of course, have proven their mettle since. Macarthur yet to really achieve that in the recent sequence of matches, but they've got a great start here. It was an excellent goal.
Jason Romero, out of San Jose, California. You mentioned his college background, Andy. Played for FC Tucson before his first stint pre-COVID in Australia back in 2018. He tried his luck in the lower leagues in Sweden before coming back to Australia again. A pure coincidence. We'll come back to this in a moment. City are on the attack. It's the header from Naboot. Finds Boss. Curtis Good. Now Aidan O'Neill. City with a bit more pressure on them now when they attack to go and chase the game. Good, keen to make amends. A little back heel from Jamison is not going to have the juice to find its way out. It needs clearance hooked away. But yes, in a pure coincidence, Apia and Macarthur's academy team drew 2-2 in the NPL yesterday. It wasn't a deliberate act of fixturing to have those two play each other this weekend. It's just a happy coincidence that Jason Romero's current club and former club played each other this weekend. And of course, he should pop up with his first A-League goal. So we see Melbourne City probe into the box. And Macarthur, when they defend now, really got something to cling on to. Romero, the adrenaline will be pumping, but he's been caught by Jamison here. O'Neill allowed to advance. Naboot allowed to turn. He's going to shoot straight into the shins of Uskok. Jamison sweeps the ball out to the right. Valon Berisha. Stood up by Vujica. Back to Talbot. Jamison. City trying to increase the ball speed here. Tilio. A pot shot! And you heard the deflection that's taken it out for a corner kick.
Well, you mentioned ball speed. Tilio put plenty of speed on that ball. One touch to control, one to the side. And he ripped it.
Not too much chat from Philip Curto. Carter guarding the near post. There's no one at the back stick. Valon Berisha taking corners from both sides. The right footer. Jamie McLaren now goes and puts himself beyond the far post. Here comes the corner kick. It's attacking the front stick. It falls through the penalty area. Talbot will go and mop up. Boss. To Jamison. Switches back out. Talbot on the opposite flank, the one he's been playing. Let's see what he can do. Inverted here. Talbot cuts onto his left side. Needs a flick on at the near post. Naboot! They weren't behind for long. Oh, and it's going to be disallowed. And the Cowbells tell the story as it remains 1-0. And the flag of Anton Shannon has scuppered Andrew Naboot.
Well, Talbot does brilliantly, and there's Naboot as that ball's fired in, clearly on an offside position. Nice turn and shot, nevertheless, but no controversy there.
A rueful shake of the head there from Andrew Naboot. I can tell you, Andy, that Macarthur, when they've scored first at home, they are undefeated through 4 games. There's the stat. That will buoy them as well. How different, you know, the mentality is when the game state changes and you've got something to play with and hold on to.
Most certainly the case. It'll be a huge night for them, not just the 3 points, but to get a first win over Melbourne City. A long way off achieving that, of course, as Anthony Boots just suggested with that disallowed goal. Plenty for Melbourne City still to offer here, and plenty of defending still to do for Macarthur.
And they have this lead, still holding just 20% of possession in the game. They need to spend time on the ball now. It's up to Melbourne City to make the running. Late contact leads to a free kick here. Marto Vidicic, he's got the notepad out and the pen. Looking circumspect as he chews that end of the pen on the sidelines. A little bit too tight in close quarters there for De Silva. Ball taken off him by O'Neill, and now City can go through the right side. Tilio is going to try to jag in, but the backtracking Vujicic interrupted him. And now Bacchus is there. Tilio recovers, and he's felled by Bacchus, who gave away the foul.
Fantastic work from Tilio. A lot of people watching, and maybe Bacchus himself thought, I'll probably be able to handle Tilio physically. But built close to the ground, great strength around his hips and thighs, maintained his balance. Bacchus couldn't really make an impression. Superb work from Tilio.
And so a wide free kick gives another set-piece opportunity to Melbourne City. Just like the corners. Alan Barisha is on duty. It's cleared by Uskok. Uncontested header in the end. Able to flick it through the penalty area and away. Boss. Curtis Good. Naboot. Aidan O'Neill. Back to Naboot. City try to accelerate the ball. It's all about the killer pass at the end. And Skatardis has done well to force Jamison back. Jamison an aerial ball. Tilio to Talbot. Talbot looking for a teammate. Naboot. And Jamison again, deflecting on. Talbot knocks it back. Jamison on his right foot! And he collects the woodwork. The follow-up from Tilio! And now Talbot! McLaren denied! And Curto falls on the ball. And Scott Jamison, who hasn't scored since the 2021 Grand Final, was the width of the crossbar away.
Well, that's wonderful. Really, Talbot has been quite electric tonight. And that was electric too from Scott Jamison. A third chance, scrambly as it was for Jamie McLaren. But you've got to admire McLaren playing through a broken toe. Slight grimace he showed then after that last exchange. And he's battling on manfully.
Scott Jamison, game 317 in the A-League tonight. He's scored just 5, and that would have been one of the most spectacular of the lot. Naboot. Ten minutes of regulation until half-time. Macarthur leading 1-0 via Jason Romero's goal. 3 almost completely unexpected points if they can take the result today, which would transform their pursuit of the top 6. Still a lot of football to be played. Melbourne City are the ones playing right now. Geordie Boss lifts the cross in, and Voyetza lunges out to the header. O'Neill from distance. We saw it against the Raw last week. This time deflected for a corner.
Yeah, good pressure from Melbourne City. Generally good defensive coordination from Macarthur. They did back off Geordie Boss a little worryingly there. Jack Holman perhaps could have been a little bit more aggressive in trying to close Boss down, and when Boss sensed that Holman was not really of the appetite, burst into the box, and some more half chances created, ending up with the shot from Aidan O'Neill, which has gone for this corner.
City have got the short corner option here. Berisha is going to receive the short corner. Waxing with O'Neill, and now Jamison. He's had one sighter, and this one slides off the boot of Aspropotomitis. Fancies himself from distance today, the captain. See, 5 blocked shots. That's been the story of the first half. It's been real gritty defending from Macarthur. McLaren's been foiled twice from close range by defenders just getting their body in the right position. Talbot flips the ball out towards McLaren, and Romero is there guarding. It is great to see a player of Jason Romero's age and with his resume go out and try to just grab onto this A-League opportunity with both hands. Would have no doubt thought this opportunity may not have been coming as he toiled in the NPL and in the lower leagues in Sweden. It's his second stint in Australia. Now he's going to go back, as he has done all game, and help out the defence. Mile Stojovski watching on. Can his team make it to half-time with this 1-0 lead intact? Both arms up from Berisha. Let's see what the variety is on the delivery. High onto the head of Good, and a looper that goes out. Curtis Good hasn't scored in the A-League men since April of last year against Wellington. It was in a 6-0 romp down at Shark Park in Cronulla. Philip Curto will take his full measure. Look at that, 332 passes to 87. It's leather poisoning, or synthetic poisoning these days for Melbourne City. More passes will ensue right here. Tilio, late contact after he lost out to Voyetza. And Macarthur, quick to take the free kick, the sneak attack. Toure brings the crowd into it. Hassan Toure bides his time, just dragging the ball on his feet here. Didn't like any of his options ahead of the ball. Bacchus to Miller, directing traffic. Holman puts it into the goal scorer. Here's Holman again. He tried the spin for the second time. On that occasion, it came unstuck. Covering defenders are back. Melbourne City pushing the defensive line up too aggressively, because that pass is finding Toure, but he was still trapped offside. See the XG there, pretty balanced at the moment. Melbourne City, an accumulation of that .97. Here's Curtis Good. 5 minutes of regulation to go in the first half. Jamison. Network of passes releases Talbot on the right, but he's not going at breakneck speed. He accelerates, opts for O'Neill. Now Tilio. Williams has guarded him beautifully all through this first half. Tilio makes the run underneath. He's managed to break through the defence. He goes to ground. And the referee doesn't take an interest. Jamie McLaren saying, what about the penalty shout? What about the foul? But there's no whistle.
No, nothing from Tilio either. It's beautiful pass and move off the ball. Lovely little jink there. And just the wrong side of Jamie McLaren. who seeks the help of the referee. He's the only one who asked the question. Tilio's not interested. Checking on the health of keeper Philip Curto. Beautiful bit of explosive play, though, from the Melbourne City. And coming into half-time, Macarthur have done well. You sit back and look at this. Is it a team that's going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Melbourne City in a press situation, in a possession situation? Not so. They defend deep, defend in numbers, try and spoil the attacking efforts, which they've succeeded in doing. Forced a couple of bad options, and then with a great partnership potentially up front, the speed of Al Hassan Toure, the strength and close control ability of Jason Romero, and that's the formula. Suck him in and hit him on the counter. The stats are frightening, but it completely backs up that approach, and the first goal of his A-League career for Jason Romero came at just the right time.
Question now is, will their concentration hold up to the halftime break? Will the gaps open up for Melbourne City to exploit? O'Neill from deep, and there's too much juice on that pass over the head of Nabbout. And one thing we did notice with the bench for Melbourne City today, very young, very inexperienced. Galloway with 200 A-League men's appearances, there he is in the middle of the shot, the only really senior head. Jordan Hall has only played once this season, and that was in October. Kerryn Stokes hasn't played in almost a year. And then you've got three debutants, Esposito, Pios and Hogan, ages 17, 19 and 19. So the 11 out there are very much going to be the ones charged with turning this around. It's not going to be like the Mariners today, where they were turning to the bench at half-time and then at the hour mark and trying everything to reverse their fortunes on the way to losing to Melbourne Victory. Boss. Left it away. Raj. High, hopeful ball. Nabbout meets it on the half volley. McLaren! And he didn't catch it as truly as he might have liked.
No, but he's ratcheting up the chances. That's 3 or 4. He'd normally have a goal by now, but just again to repeat that he is carrying that injured toe. Beautiful first-time effort from Andrew Nabbout there.
Now, Kieran Baxter's down in a game which is going to be combative and involve a lot of backs to the wall defending. He's a player that Macarthur will do every last bit of running repair on if they can in order to keep him on the park. We weren't heading for much stoppage time at the end of the first half, but this is the most significant delay of any so far as we go into the final minute of regulation. So this is the state of play at the moment. Macarthur 1, Melbourne City 0, and here's the goal launched by that man Bacchus, who's currently down receiving treatment.
That's really poor from Kelly Spirit. But look at this from Aidan O'Neill. I actually thought it was just going to end up a one-on-one Al Hassan Toure versus Tommy Glover, the Melbourne City goalkeeper. But Aidan O'Neill recovered the territory, forced Al Hassan Toure to make another decision, which he did expertly. I thought it was all done here, but Aidan O'Neill shows great athleticism. Al Hassan Toure noticing the support of Jason Romero, who showed his own deftness with his feet to open up the goal and get his first goal. It's a great moment for him, great moment for Macarthur.
And this late injury in the half means stoppage will be 2 minutes. I suspect it might only have been the one, if not for the treatment to Bacchus, who is all right to continue. Curto goes for distance. Romero bringing the ball down. Geordie Boss. Oh, he's able to nutmeg Holman. Holman gets back goal side. Nabbout. Rash. Slow moving pass out to Tilio. Half of stoppage time expired. Curtis Good. A high diagonal, and Curto keeps his ball all the way, leaving the ground and able to pluck it out of the sky. Philip Curto has gone 8 consecutive games without a clean sheet, dating back to January the 8th against Newcastle. He's nearly made it halfway through this one without conceding. And that little skill error there from Talbot under a difficult high ball means that Macarthur might just be able to bleed the clock to the referee's whistle here. Boyetsa in absolutely no hurry, as you might expect. Toure and Boyetsa. It is out for a throw, all very pedestrian. With just seconds to go, Melbourne City might be out of time. Instead, it's going to be an important half-time address from Rado Vidičić coming up to see if the ladder leaders can turn around a deficit here. Because as it stands, Macarthur are on track to beat Melbourne City for the first time in the Isuzu UTE A-League Men's. Jason Romero's first goal in the competition means that the home team at Campbelltown are heading into the half-time break in the ascendancy. Can they hold on? It sets up a compelling second half because at the break, it's Macarthur 1, Melbourne City 0. And let's get some instant reaction. Tristan McManus.
Thank you. And with the goal scorer, Jason Romero. Jason, superb pace by Toure. Great composure by yourself. You've done this before, right? How does it feel to get your first goal in the A-League?
Yeah, it feels great. You know, I've been working hard all week trying to get my head right, and it's, you know, hitting the back of the net makes everything worth it, you know? What's
your game plan today in terms of a defensive unit? We can see what you can do attacking, but defensively yourself and Hassan are kind of sitting back a little bit.
We just got to make it difficult for them, make it hard for them to break us down, and we just got to stick together. It's another 45, and you know, we can put up an upset. We can put an upset here.
You shouldn't be surprised to be ahead. You're playing great football there today, right?
100%. That's what we expect day in and day out. No matter who we're playing, we want to play good football.
Long may continue. Best of luck. Thank you. There he is, guys. Macarthur lead Melbourne City here 1-0 at Campbelltown. We're going to tell you all about it in the halftime show on the other side of this break.
The way we build is strong and tactical, moving big, impact and radical, always maximum and past the capital, never ration, notice talent.
Hello and welcome back to Campbelltown, where Macarthur Bulls lead table toppers Melbourne City 1-0, and that was Gemma with the crossbar. Such an open game here today. Chances on both ends, but it's Macarthur Bulls who are ahead. We're going to tell you all about it. It's time for the Hungry Jacks halftime show with Tail.
Thank you, Tristan, and I'm joined by Andy Harper. And Andy, let's get into the Harvey Norman highlights, because this game has had some highlights, and perhaps not the ones that we expected, as Macarthur were able to take a lead into the break.
Yeah, well, Lockie Rose isn't a highlight yet, but let's hope he's going to be. It's a beautiful little practice shot into the goal. Long layoff with a broken bone. He returns to the fold today, Lockie Rose, and he never does badly for any team that he plays for, including his A-League team, which is Macarthur, leading 1-0 here, care of the Jason Romero goal. And this was the play, really, that's Macarthur have been building for. They've conceded a lot of possession, a lot of territory. And the plan was to defend in numbers and to block space and frustrate and deny, and then hit on the counter-attack, and they did it with great effect. Al-Hassan Toure, an excellent run and pass to the American, Romero, who makes it his first A-League goal, and a really good one to get going.
And rounding the keeper too, a great piece of skill, and the composure. I guess when we talk about him being sort of veteran age at 28 years old, a mature age recruit by Macarthur, he's been there and he's done it, and he wasn't daunted by the occasion.
Well, I just love the story of Jason Romero, and it's a word out to a lot of people, a lot of young boys and girls who want to play and don't think their break's coming. If you love the game and you love what you're doing, you'll find somewhere to get through. Romero's done it today to get that goal lead, but the stats really tell a story of Melbourne City utter dominance. Not the first time we've seen stats like that for Melbourne City, and a deficit on the scoreboard for them. They've still got a lot of work to do in this second half to overcome the Macarthur rearguard action, which has been quite impressive.
If they win the passing count 600 to 200 by the end of this game but go down, that surely has to speak to a flaw in how Melbourne City have approached the game.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, this is not a pattern unique to Melbourne City or Australian football. This happens to great teams right around the world whose chosen method is to keep the ball and boss their opponents and try and grind them down. They've had chances to score tonight. They've been a bit sloppy in front of goal, Melbourne City. That's the piece of the analysis we haven't really covered yet. And the possession and the passing hasn't just been for the sake of it. They have created sights on goal and openings on goal. They just haven't found the clinical touch at the end of it yet.
Well, speaking of those siders on goal, let's take a look at some of them now as the first half unfolded. And it was Macarthur, after absorbing for the first 10 or so minutes, that had this little half chance for Danny De Silva, and then Melbourne City really went to work after that.
Yeah, they've done enough to win a couple of games here. Jamie McLaren's had a couple of chances. He might have been able to pass that one off. Alan Marusha certainly thinks so. But not to be. And then Callum Talbot, Marco Tilio, excellent down the left-hand side. You know, Jamie McLaren is carrying that broken bone in his foot, so it's not making things easy for him. But you can't count him out playing on 1.5 feet or not. Callum Talbot in possession now has shown a beautiful slightness of foot on plenty of occasions. This was the disallowed goal for Anthony Boot, who drifted offside quite clearly. But whether it's from right fullback or down on inside left channel, Callum Talbot's shown how dangerous he can be. So too Scotty Jamieson, with his right foot and all too. He's only scored the 5 goals in his A-League career, as you report, Tayo. I don't think any of them have come with his right foot necessarily. That's a classic case there of just how well Macarthur have scrambled when they've needed to. Conceded a lot of territory and possession, but in the end, their defensive wall hasn't been breached.
Danny De Silva, just the 14 passes in the first half, but possession won 4 times as we take a look at the Neds level. Player performance, not a huge number of fouls going on in either direction in the game. It's been pretty clean so far. And Andy, when we look at the Macarthur bench for this game and the reinforcements they might turn to, if Danny De Silva runs himself into the ground, Charles Mombwa, who we saw warming up earlier, might be the likely type to come in and just continue to defend backs to the wall.
Yeah, I think so. On the counter-attack strategy, of course, given the speed of Lockie Rose, he's tailor-made to play on that counter-attack situation. Also, with the run-in 5 games that are to come for Macarthur to get into the finals, if they're good enough, you're going to need Lockie Rose back in game speed. So the sooner he can get some match minutes into his legs and then start contributing for the team, it's going to be better, obviously, for Macarthur.
It's incredible to think that Macarthur, they are now 7th on the live table, and only goal difference is keeping them out of 6th place. And this is a half where we were talking about potentially them being in the mix for the wooden spoon. Let's go down to the sidelines, though, because Tristan McManus has a special guest for us.
Thanks, Teo. Yeah, only goal difference keeping out of the top 6. I'm with Moody in the jar. Nudie, can we wear this jersey every single week? Tell me how important it is.
Yeah, it's a very important jersey to us. I think first of all, it's a great jersey, you know, it's a great colour, but for the foundation, we're very proud to have him with us to help kids with disabilities, so it's great to get behind the cause.
It really is. It's hot pink, but you're red hot tonight. You guys have been unbelievable. Everyone's asking, when are we going to be seeing you back out on this pitch?
Hopefully after the break, so another 2 weeks, hopefully a week, 2 weeks, so yeah, hopefully get out there and show what I can do again.
Super. Well, tell us a little bit about this, because a lot of people, when we talk about this fixture today, obviously everyone goes back to the last time you met each other. I know you got a goal there as well. 6-1. Everyone's like, well, how are you going to deal with them? How are you going to deal with them? You're dealing with them great at the moment, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. We came out with a different game plan this time, and I think you can see it's working, and that's it. We just got to do it again second half, and we'll get the win.
We shouldn't be surprised as an audience looking at this, but we are, I guess, in terms of how hard you guys are working, how much you're pushing Melbourne City, and how much you should be ahead. Is this what you're seeing for your team every day in training, every week?
Oh, 100%. Like I said, we came with a different game plan, and we've been working week in, week out, and it's taken us a bit of time, but in the end, it's working, and that's what we want to do.
And have you stored up your goals for the last couple of games of the season?
Yeah, that's it. I've got to do that, and when I come back, that's what we're going to get it.
Top 6 is looking great. Fair play to you. Thank you. Going to be great to see you back on the pitch. And that concludes our Hungry Jacks halftime show. Make sure next weekend you got all your eyes on the Socceroos as they take on Ecuador. Second half is coming up after the break.
Welcome back to live pictures from Campbelltown Stadium. We're at halftime. Macarthur lead Melbourne City 1-0. The league leaders in a bit of trouble at the break. That man, Jason Romero, the American, has his first A-League goal. Jamie McLaren had 6 in 5 against Macarthur coming in today, but he has been contained in the first half, albeit with a couple of chances that were blocked by desperate Macarthur defenders. Macarthur to attack the right of your screens in the second half then. Can they go on and post their first Isuzu UTE A-League men's win against Melbourne City? They've got something to play with, but 45 long minutes to the finish line as the second half gets underway. Andy Harper is here with me, and Andy, we did run through that Melbourne City bench in the first half and talk about the lack of experience, especially attacking players. Pretty much only Galloway with any length of tenure in the competition. So the halftime talk will be certainly honing in on who's out there now.
Yeah, for sure, Teo. And whilst in the first half and before Macarthur had taken the lead, I felt the need to raise the spectre of Macarthur keeping their eye on the wooden spoon, as a lot of the teams in this chasing pack need to keep some sort of focus on. Now they find themselves in this, or just out of the 6 on goal difference. It just goes to show what a remarkable run it is into the playoff positions. But they're going to have to work extraordinarily hard again in the second half, Macarthur, and we wish them well doing it. If Melbourne City are going to replicate the same sort of dominant football in the first half, you can't imagine them not getting at least 1 on the back of it.
They have another 6-pointer, not to look too far ahead, next weekend away to the Perth Glory. 10 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night. So they were to finish the round in 7th place. The best of the rest, top of the chasing pack behind Sydney FC before making that flight across the Nullarbor. But it's a very tough task ahead for 45 minutes here as Geordie Boss and Scott Jamieson combine. Skotadis' clearance only as far as Aidan O'Neill. Now Jamieson hoping for Naboot, and Uskov wasn't going to let Philip Curto come out for that one. He puts it 15 rows back.
And of course we only have to look to last weekend and the Western Sydney Wanderers trip to Perth Glory, who only because really, well, not only because Perth showed incredible self-belief and resilience to stay in the contest, but the Wanderers had plenty of chances to score that night and ended up losing in the 96th minute. So dominant teams don't always, as we know, get the chocolates at the end of the night.
Barisha plays the corner to Tilio. Tilio is going to need a tip over the bar. That was just tailing in, and Philip Curto might be casual as you like, as he says to his defence. That one's on me. The slightest of misjudgments here forced him to course correct and stop that landing in his net. So it's going to be repeat corners for Melbourne City as a result. Such a nonchalance to how he made that save, Philip Curto. Now Barisha, both arms raised. He's going near post. It's flicked into the traffic. So many bodies in there. Very tough for the ball to squirm through. Tilio, who played on the right flank in the first half, is now playing on the left in the second. So decided to leave him over on the outer side of the pitch. Good to Boss. McLaren, Barisha, Tilio wait in the penalty area. O'Neill back to Curtis Good. The boots touch a loose attempt at the ball. Matthew Miller booted it away, but City reload quickly. Jamieson rattled the woodwork in the first half. Barisha. Being recycled back out to Reyes once again. Good to McLaren. Barisha can't step around Skotadis, who used his body well, but the pass wasn't a good one. Tilio. And now Barisha to Talbot. Talbot with a little burst of acceleration, but Holman stayed goal side of him. Now Talbot has to wheel back around. It's a long chain of passes for Melbourne City. Barisha's header, now Talbot. He goes to ground spectacularly. Thomas Lavuskov stripped him of the ball. Fair challenge. Great defending from Aidan O'Neill, and Holman wasn't able to escape. But that was Tomislav Uskok there. Had to make the tackle cleanly, and he did so.
A normal service resumed. Callum Talbot assuming a very, very aggressive position. But Uskok and Aspro, in particular, the two central defenders for Macarthur, just not having any of it at the end, just getting their body in the way, hacking the ball clear.
Trailing arm here from Toure. First yellow card. Nuno Reyes is the player he wiped out. You can see that unfolding as he backed back with his arms out there, and there appeared to be an apology forthcoming, but it was an accident. Right across the bridge of the nose.
There's not much in it. But the yellow card, well, not unreasonable, I guess.
Rash in the starting lineup today with Thomas Lamb out suspended. A mid-range free kick coming up for Melbourne City to try to capitalise. First yellow card of the game. Berisha has been entrusted with every dead ball so far. Corners haven't quite worked out. The free kicks, work in progress. This one to Naboot on an acute angle, and somehow it stays out. Tilio got up to the ball, but he couldn't thrust it goal bound. Slides out for a goal kick instead.
Well, Teo, already this game has got that look about it, doesn't it? Even Curto beaten, and just on Tilio too quickly, couldn't adjust. It's the touch from Curto as well. Credit where it's due. That's probably what took Tilio out of the equation. But that's half a yard out from the goal, maybe a yard.
It wasn't so much trying to score with the head as it was trying to score with his face.
Yeah.
The ball just reared up on him, didn't it?
Is it going to be one of those nights for Melbourne City?
Well, the clock's their friend for now. Only 6.5 minutes of the second half ticked by. Adelaide fans, Wanderers fans, they've all got their cowbells out at home. Grab whatever bell you can ring, hoping that the race for the premiership can be blown wide open by this result. Here's Naboot. Now Talbot. Tilio back in more familiar surrounds on the right. Tried to force it through a couple of defenders. Bacchus coughed up possession. Tilio again. Flashes it to Berisha. And now the ball slows down. O'Neill. Working over on the right. O'Neill doesn't want to use him. Now he does. Oh, and it's a flat-footed Talbot. And that was very un-Melbourne City-like there. Not on the same wavelength, not even close. Won't mind. Weird to take the throw. Rado Vidizic watches on. His team hasn't exactly come out breathing fire. It's very much been a continuation of the general pattern of the game from the first half. Boss. Jamison. This is starting to really get in the right place now, blocking the passing channels, getting in the right place to frustrate Melbourne City. And now he can do something in the other direction, Jerry Skitanis. Or can he? He's halted by the boot. Macarthur throw. Former Western United player, Jerry Skitanis, of course. First season now at the Bulls. It's number 60 for him today. He's yet to score an A-League men's goal. Boss. Looks up at Matthew Miller. Turns onto his right side here. Squeezes it. Berisha and now O'Neill. Tilio. Talbot, a great run underneath, and a deflection takes it out for a corner.
Great attack. Really great attack from Melbourne City, but again, and then in pink tonight, Macarthur doing the Sony Foundation proud so far. It's great interchange. Tilio and Talbot have a great understanding. They're a very good combination.
Barisha to take the corner. Most players congregated at or beyond the back post, so expect it to go deep. It clears all and sundry. Talbot. Crunching slide challenge from Romero, but Jordi Boss is there. Romero defending from the front, fighting for his life for these 3 points. And Boss still wriggles free of him in case. He can't find a teammate as he whips it through the box. 10 minutes of the second half tick by.
Well, gets to his feet very quickly, and then Greco-Roman wrestling. I'm not sure if Jason Romero did any of that during his UCLA days. But he certainly came off second best against Boss, who then, having made the space, unfortunately, mishit his cross, rushed his decision. Nothing came at the end, but Melbourne City come again. The game basically is camped in the defensive third of Macarthur. They were just doing a very, very no-fuss job of hanging on.
I can tell you, after 11 minutes in this second half, it passes in the final third, 53-0. Macarthur have not completed a pass in the final third in the second half. Right now, with the score the way it is, they don't need to. The question is, can their concentration hold out for what is rapidly becoming a half-field game? That pass won't cause them too much heartache. As we get closer to the hour mark, wonder if Macarthur will start thinking about subs, about fresh legs. A very hot day. This game moved back by 4 hours with kick-off time in order to play in the evening. Crunching header from Aspropotometis. Now Bacchus. Ueta, De Silva. There is the first completed pass in the final third, barely, right on the border. They're going to load up and go again, Macarthur. De Silva. They'll give it, and a set piece will give them an opportunity to score against the run.
Well, I'm not sure quite how Callum Talbot escaped without a yellow card there. He's not a play at the ball at all, and Daniel De Silva had skipped away into that cherished zone of the final third for the second time this half.
So Tom Glover, who's been a mere spectator, this is where his concentration will be tested. Melbourne City will be spitting if they concede here and go 2-0 down. They've put numbers forward, though. Watch for Uskok. Watch for Aspropotometis. Oh, and he knows that that was a chance. It slides off the head out for a goal kick.
Can Melbourne City get the ball forward before Aspro is back and set? Apparently not. I'm going to say, Teo, I've enjoyed this Sunday night football. It's not, here's the free kick in again. Aspro reading it nicely, just not controlling the header. I've enjoyed having football on a Sunday night, I must say. It makes a lot of sense, obviously, to avoid the heat of the Sunday afternoon, and this doesn't look like it's had a hugely deleterious effect on the crowd, which at this stage of Macarthur's development, we weren't expecting to be big. That's a disappointing part of their journey so far, but it's the difference between them playing at 7 and 3. I think it's much better.
Word's getting out. Melbourne City behind, still trailing. I mentioned that Wanderers and Adelaide fans are Macarthur fans for now. Great incisive pass! And a penalty given. Aspropotometis the chance to score at one end, giving away a penalty at the other. And a yellow card rubs it, and he mowed down McLaren, and the referee had no choice than to send Melbourne City to the spot.
Now, the only thing that's good to say Macarthur on this occasion is whether Jamie McLaren's run was an offside one. But it was a beautiful, straight, penetrating pass from Raish. Great touch across the defender. Clear penalty from there. Was it onside?
Well, it might have been Aspro himself playing McLaren onside. Philip Curto's walked out to the edge of the penalty area here. He clearly wants to waste as much time as possible.
Well,
the chant for VAR goes up.
well, the fans chanting can rest assured that it's happening, whether it falls in their favour.
Sean Evans is in the VAR booth.
Offside.
And so it will not be a penalty kick, and the yellow card is removed from Jonathan Aspropotomidis' name. A close shave, just like the first half, where Andrew Naboot was flagged offside when he put the ball in the net. We see it is fine margins here.
Is it the kneecap or the swelling on that broken toe?
It may have just flushed his boot just that little bit further out beyond the offside line. Double change coming up for Macarthur right on the 60-minute mark. Fresh legs coming on. Jerry Skitanis, who's worked hard, is going to be replaced by Charles Mombwa. That one was a sub we could see coming from half-time. Lockie Rose is going to come on here for Al Hassan Toure. So Toure, the only player who did have a yellow card to his name out on the pitch, takes his lead. And Rose will come and try and stretch the field on the counter-attack for Macarthur.
Well, the Macarthur fans have got a charge. They can sense this. They can sense that it could well be their night. And Lockie Rose provides a great option in that counter-attacking mode of play. Great speed. First game back out of injury. See how he settles in. Good night. Productive night for Al Hassan Toure.
As I mentioned, this is his 6th appearance now against Melbourne City Rose. Yet to score against them. Hasn't scored since the 11th of November against the Wellington Phoenix. So how he would love to mark his return. Scoring here tonight. Now it's all Melbourne City still. So close to a penalty kick just a moment ago. There was the reprieved Jonathan Aspropotomidis clearing on his left. O'Neill in space. Jamison. Boss lances it down off the chest and does not break his stride. Holman will just corral him briefly though. Jamison. Naboot. Jamison's cross. Touch initially by Aidan O'Neill and throws his hands to his head as Tomislav Uskok comes across to clear out for a corner kick. Four corners to naught in the second half alone. 80% possession through 17 minutes of play for Melbourne City. Valon Berisha. Near post, able to get the flick on. Bacchus propels it away. Naboot. It's just slowed down for Melbourne City. A little bit ponderous now over on this left flank. Naboot, bit of a hit and hope. Straight onto the head of the defender, and now Danny De Silva trying to spin out of trouble. He's just going to go for distance and give Rose a cause to go and chase. Reyes is back. Glover, an awkward pass for Reyes. Now he's able to find Talbot, as we see Melbourne City predominantly attacking down the left-hand side. Half their attacks so far in the game.
I don't know, the way this is set up, Macarthur, as unlikely as they look in general terms, look really likely when they can break. They look really likely. Lockie Rose, Romero, how impressive on occasion they got. De Silva and Holman forward as well to join in the numbers.
O'Neill, Jamison, Talbot, and Tilio needing to play. O'Neill holds off the defender, hits the byline, and was it out or deflected for a corner? Macarthur are trying to claim it had already crossed the line, but the decision's a corner kick. Let's have another close look here as to exactly where the ball was. It was right on the paint of the line. So across the lino's call on that one. Berisha to take. Aspropotomidis rises high as Tilio with a volley. Corner deflection. Straight out for another corner. Macarthur defence holding up though. They do have a tall back line. Uskok the tallest. Aspropotomidis there with him. got his hands full with Curtis Good at the moment. Jason Romero has been assigned to Jamie McLaren, who waits beyond the back post. Berisha attacks the near post. It flicks through and sits up in the 6-yard box. Jamison could not steer it goalwards. It just went across the face instead. And a couple of City's chances have fallen to Scott Jamison tonight.
Well, it's almost getting a little bit ridiculous, almost, because still so much time to go. If he's watching tonight, I'm sure Marko Rudan will be at least empathising with Rado Vidosic.
Jamison. Great touch from Boss. And it's in for an own goal. City are back in business. And Jonathan Asper-Potometis has put him through his own net to tie the game up at 1-1. And with plenty of time until the finish line, a bit of the air goes out of the Macarthur balloon.
Well, Jordan Boss, the deliverer, and on the end of it was supposed to be Jamie McLaren on the Harvey Norman replay. But the great ironies of football, one of Macarthur's best in repelling Melbourne City, Jonathan Asper-Potometis, is exactly the person who gives them the equaliser.
You imagine, now that it's 1-1, not a great deal will change about general play. A point still handy for Macarthur. Of course, they'll drop out of 7th place now on the live table. You imagine that the actual pattern of play isn't going to be affected much by the game state here. 2/3 of the game ticked over. Melbourne City back on parity, having trailed since the 26th minute. I wonder if Macarthur will get any grand designs on trying to go for it a little bit more and retake the lead. Not on this occasion. Berisha. He's got Tilio on the right. Jacob Burns, the Macarthur assistant, former Socceroo, former Marston medalist, sitting next to Milo Stajovski down on the bench. Instructions for his team to drop deep.
Well, interesting too. The goal was disallowed for offside. Milo Stajovski was having to pull his assistant Jacob Burns away from the assistant on the near touchline, with whom he was in very heated and animated discussion. Not quite sure what it was about.
There he is, Jacob Burns sitting next to Milo Stajovski. Williams. Rose trying to peel off his defender, but Curtis Good blocks the way. Boss, he'll be credited with the assist for the Asper-Potometis own goal. City have got their tails up. They want to turn this around quick as a flash. Now that they've been able to breach Macarthur once.
First things first, let's see if Macarthur have any real intent on pushing the back four up and squeezing the field a little bit. Ball's coming back pretty quickly. Here's Romero using his body to try and get the better of Aidan O'Neill. Plenty have tried, few have succeeded in that discussion this season.
Good. Should have been at the ball to Rose there. He chased down his touch, but did so successfully. And now Boss, too much on the pass, sliding down to Curto. No thoughts of slowing the tempo down. He's presented for the ball, and now Mombois. De Silva.
Because you look at Macarthur, Tail, and
very firmly struck back pass. Curto. Yep.
There's no need, really, given Jamie McLaren's injury, that Thomas Uzkropp and Jonathan Aspro should feel scared that the space in behind them, they're not going to be able to recover. And then they go up the right-hand side, just completing the back four. Matthew Miller against Jordan Boss, against Andrew Nabuk. Well, that's a net zero gain as well, so, or loss. And Vujica maybe a little exposed against Tilio if he gets a head of steam up, but nothing that a double-up defensive situation can't diffuse. So the deeper Macarthur sit, the more they invite Melbourne City into them, the more dangerous potentially it could be.
Right now it is City's ball, and Macarthur Shuffling side to side. The boot. Boss doubling back towards the ball as he hit that pass. Quite a few occasions tonight we've seen the field is just a bit lush, and it means that some of those stray passes hold up. They don't go out. You've got to be awake to chasing down a loose ball. Short lead from Macarthur, foray forward. 20 minutes of regulation to go. Tough. Sydney sider, I think, in his hometown. Locked away by Bueta. And now Danny De Silva can go. There are his outlets. Romero's the option. Rose calls for the pass ahead of the ball, but Romero is dispossessed. And now a stretched game, counter on counter. Tilio. He's unable to jag past Bacchus.
There's the double up we're talking about. Bacchus, who came across, and Bueta, who was caught upfield. Well, there's a case that Macarthur can just squeeze the field a little bit more.
De Silva, most advanced player there for a moment. Now numbers get forward, but that's a miss-hit pass from Holman. Pressure just cools things down. Goes to Geordie Boss rather than continuing to strike the ball aggressively forward. The boot as well turns and goes backwards. See the XG situation. Hillsborough own goal, bringing the game level, but Melbourne City had continued to knock on the door. Definitely will feel as though they've done enough to win the game, but to be adventurous as they try to find a second. Pass lifted out towards Boss, has dealt with it right back, and late contact means there will be a foul. Matthew Miller getting back to his haunches.
Slight contact, but any contact there reasonably is a foul against Geordie Boss. Strong tonight again, Matt Miller, without being extravagant. It hasn't been an extravagant performance from Macarthur, but a very gnarly, very effective one so far. It's taken an own goal from Aspro Potomides for Melbourne City to get on the scoreboard. And more speed about to come off the bench.
Jed Drew waiting in the foreground there. That's to end of the game. Back from young Socceroos duty, where he really gave a great account of himself. As Australia's under-20 national team fell a penalty shootout short of going to the under-20 World Cup. Down by the eventual winners Uzbekistan. A little bit dicey there in defence from Melbourne City, but they're able to play through the Macarthur midfield, and now Jamison, the defence sitting deep, finds Naboot. Boss on the overlap, and the sneaky reverse does catch the arm of Matthew Miller.
That's a very promising opportunity for Macarthur in transition. Just Jason Romero, who's been strong tonight, but wasn't fully anticipating or reading the play. They would have had an advantage up in that final third on the counter.
Speaking of Jason Romero, he's currently down, just getting back to his feet here. I suspect that his night will be over as part of this double change, which is about to happen for Macarthur. We've got Ali Orgler standing next to Jed Drew on the sidelines. There's Orgler bouncing up and down in the background. Trainers out to tend to Jason Romero. I don't think they need any reason not to wind a bit of clock here and just try to break City's momentum. Macarthur, and indeed, Romero goes down, and assessment on that ankle continues. There are the two subs. They're still waiting. All of this will serve to frustrate Rado Vidizic that his team can't resume wave after wave of attack. Eventually, under his own steam, Romero will walk to the sideline. We don't even know who the second player coming off is just yet, because Macarthur, all their defenders are waiting in the penalty box as if they're about to defend this free kick. One of them's going to be summoned over to the sideline eventually. They're not going to make the change while defending the free kick. So here comes the free kick, and it's held onto by Curto. Interesting that they chose to defend that 10 versus 11 rather than sub Romero off.
tackle, except Romero's not going to be subbed off. He's not part of the tactical recalculation.
Good shout. Must not be the answer at all. So the two subs wait in the wings. Romero back on. And looking all right. So we tick down to 15 minutes of regulation to go. Rash. Back by Naboo, straight to Holman. Miller. An awkward pass to deal with, and he volunteers possession back to Berisha. Jamison to Boss. Naboo. Now Boss keeping the ball at the edge of the area for City. Talbot. It's a wall of pink shirts inside the penalty area for Macarthur. Jamison sliding it to Boss, and the cutback is turned behind for a corner. Macarthur appealing, they think it's a goal kick. And the referee agrees. Well done by Holman.
He's worked incredibly hard tonight. Jake Holman. That midfield job is really difficult with a team that's camped deep defensively, but then you've got to break ranks on the rare occasions where the ball goes forward. It's your job to get the support as well. He's worked tirelessly. That might be it for him, however.
So the board goes up and Jed Drew enters the game. Danny De Silva is the player making way, and Ali Orbler comes on too. 21-year-old, his first A-League men's goal. As you said, Andy, Jake Holman takes his lead. So a header here is going to put Naboo through. Curto off his body, and Berisha, well, he went for glory. It was offside regardless, so false alarm. And again, the offside flag has just intervened at good times when Macarthur have needed that extra help tonight. McLaren there in front of the defender, Naboo.
Well, it had to be Naboo offside. Yeah. It had to be Naboo. I'd love to have another look at that because Jamie McLaren stayed out of the play.
Yeah, very good point. What constitutes interfering, Andy?
So is Anthony Naboo offside there? Jamie McLaren is. Given the angle at which we're looking at this, I'd concede Jamie McLaren. I wouldn't concede without another look Andrew Naboo. And he clearly ran it but then steered away. To me, that constitutes staying out of the game.
Rose pressing from the front. We've seen so much of Geordie Boss in the attacking half of this game. It's almost a rarity to see him actually down working in defence.
And when they took that restart, indicates that it was Andrew Naboo they thought was offside. Anyway, no goal was scored, so we don't get the ultimate test. If you can call it the ultimate test, I'm still sceptical.
The next question in the test is coming right here. Aidan O'Neill. Jamison to Talbot. Fresh legs of Macarthur now, making it a little bit trickier for Melbourne City to hold on to the ball in such an advanced position. So you can see a little bit of ground, play a little bit further away from goal. And Naboo gives possession away. Weirtza very quickly regretted his idea to try and run with the ball. His pass finds Rose, who's used the body well. And the free kick was taken quickly, and there's a little bit of afters, and Lockie Rose has really taken exception to what Nuno Reis was doing. Thomas Lavuskok is getting in to try and play peacemaker here. Yellow cards out of the pocket from Chris Bede. This is starting to really turn into a melee. Scott Jamison wants a piece. And Uskok has gone and just locked up Nuno Reis and extracted him from the scene. Andrew Naboo involved. It's clearly nonplussed about how Lockie Rose has just set up a firecracker between these two teams.
Well, he's done a great job to win the free kick there. Nuno Reis has stepped in. It's going to be yellow cards both ways. Lockie Rose's reaction here, no hands to the throat, so he's not going to get a red. Nuno Reis has to get a yellow card there too, however. And then Matt Miller makes a beeline for Scott Jamison. This was the interesting one. Here comes Matt Miller. Jamo, get out of there.
feels as though some scores were being settled as each additional player joined the morass there. The summary of it is that Reyes got booked.
We're waiting for confirmation. Lockie Rose has to get booked. Reyes deservedly gets the card too. Did he get away with that, Lockie Rose?
Maybe Chris Beath didn't mind it. There is the yellow card confirmed. So the flag flying from Rose gets him in the book. City trying to let their football do the talking. McLaren breaking the line. And as the defence backtracks, they're able to hold him up. Well played by Astropotamidis, and the ball is scrambled away.
Superb from Astropotamidis. I just thought there was a second there where Jamie McLaren might gratefully receive the contact from Aspro and go sprawling.
Tilio in a 1-on-3. Here's Jamison. City have got two out on the right flank. Talbot whips it in onto the head of Astropotamidis. Romero. Backers. Ball left behind by Miller. And now he's caught in possession by Naboot. And Andrew Naboot can advance. He's got Tilio waiting in the middle. He finds Tilio, and Tilio loses his first touch. And the frustration is rightly reflected.
Well, Naboot sets it up well, and Tilio, just a break in concentration at the key moment. It was horrible from him with, you'd have to say, 3 points beckoning.
It shades of, we saw it in that game in New Zealand for the Socceroos. Right at the key moment, right the chance to track the ball and sink it into the back of the net. Tilio, the first touch abandoned him. Now Macarthur, they're trying to win it! Oh, and it was so close from Rose. There was no bend on the strike. It just continued straight across the face.
Well, it was Romero again, and Josh Rose doesn't need a second invite. They love him. They love him in Campbelltown. And I don't know, that would have brought the house down.
We're heading for a hectic final 8 minutes of regulation here.
Well, don't rule as outplayed as Macarthur have been. Well, their fans will say we've played this in a measured way. Their late win against Brisbane, remember that?
Well, also the win against the Mariners when it was Jed Drew who scored the goal. And here he's right on the scene, winning a corner.
The belief is growing for the men in pink as they are tonight. Melbourne City on their heels at the moment.
Uskov, Aspro, Romero, they all get forward. City, they're going to bring on Galloway here. Having run himself into the ground, Callum Talbot takes his lead. He's gone through a power of work, and so it's a like-for-like swap. Talbot heads to the sidelines as Galloway enters the game. The superstitious don't like to make subs while defending corners. Rado Vidičić flying in the face of convention. Here's Ali Orgla with the corner kick into the near post, sliding off the head of O'Neill. And Naboot will prevent it going for a corner on the opposite side. And he's fouled for his trouble by Uskov.
Well, the point you raised for discussion at the start of the match, Taya, when it gets to substitutions, where does Rado Vidičić go? And you sort of intimated that if they put a handful of goals on, it might be the chance for the teenagers. And the fact that Melbourne City have not been able to put Macarthur away has really perhaps caused Rado Vidičić to get pretty conservative and just trust the experience. When maybe, actually, to break the deadlock, he could do with a kid.
Well, it's very much a Patrick Kisnorbo legacy to go the entire game without making a sub. He's been, in his time coaching, he's been reticent to go to the bench and use substitutions. So if anything, it's continuity, organisational continuity from Rado Vidičić. If he doesn't opt for any of the youngsters to come on and try and change the game here. Macarthur starting to get a little bit more ambitious, and heading from the edge of the box like that is the height of it.
Well, that's an apology from Lockie Rose, because there was a better option, and it was Jed Drew. If he could have glanced the ball on to Drew.
Jason Romero is going to get the ovation of the crowd here because his number is up, and Jake McGing is going to be coming on.
So the top going from Romero. He pretty much did everything asked of him very, very well, including getting the first goal.
McGing, who has scored against Melbourne City in his career for the Central Coast Mariners back in January of 2018, so some time ago now. And Romero milks every second of the clock that he can take. Says thank you to the Macarthur fans that have come out to cheer him today.
And Chris Beek, we just saw the referee in the centre circle. He was stopping the watch as that change took place. And good on Chris Beek, because a lot of other referees are running behind the substituted player with a cattle prod.
Sometimes a card is almost more effective than the cattle prod, don't forget.
Or just stop the clock. Let the players who've worked hard.
Tilio skipping central. Jamison, he's in the mood for a goal tonight, Jamison. That one a little bit further away than his attempt in the first half.
Well, attempted Curto, but missed by a comfortable margin in the end. But initially, attempted Philip Curto in goal. Throws himself in anticipation. Hit the post in the first half with that right boot. Did Scott Jamison. This one is slipping away from Melbourne City, whose lead at the top of the competition is still cushioned by quite a number of points, plus the Jumpstart derby against Melbourne City, with Melbourne Victory, which is a couple of weeks away now.
But every little drop that they make just hangs the carrot out in front of Adelaide, out in front of Western Sydney. Whistle goes here. As it stands, they'd be 4 points clear of Adelaide and 7 points clear of Western Sydney with that game in hand. Next weekend, Friday night, Western Sydney versus Adelaide. What a game that is too.
Well, that's not next Friday. Next Friday, Socceroos.
Friday at some point.
At some point.
On a Friday.
You've got Friday on
coming
your
to
mind.
a Friday near you.
There's the international break next week. 2 matches involved in the Socceroos against Ecuador. Look forward to that. Friday and Tuesday, and then the A-League rolls back in next Friday with what is that blockbuster, Wanderers v Adelaide.
Certainly, speaking of the Socceroos, Geordie Boss there, off to Socceroos duty. Aidan O'Neill as well. Both be hoping for their first cap. It's not the sign-off from the club game that they would have wanted so far tonight. Well, Boss's performance certainly has been. It's more so the team result not going.
Yeah, and you couldn't say that Melbourne City played badly. They just haven't had the cut through in the penalty area.
Aggressive pass into a 1-on-2, and Tilio holds his own and is able to move the ball on. Galloway, the sub for Melbourne City, fresh legs off the bench. It's going to fall to O'Neill and blocked immediately. Jed Drew.
Yeah, just needed one more pass there to the boot from O'Neill. A couple of times, Aidan, of whom I'm loath to offer any criticism because he's just been so good for the last couple of seasons. But there's a couple of times tonight when he hasn't taken the early opportunity to play to a player in an advantageous part of the field.
The boot this time stopped by Montwell. The ball hits the referee.
So this will be a long restart. Teo, just a little bit of role reversal. Let me ask you a question. Your take on the Sunday night excursion, 7 p.m. kickoff. Do you agree with me? You are allowed to disagree.
No, I love football all through the weekend, as many unique time slots as possible, Andy. So in a week where we've got A-League expansion and 2 more teams on the horizon, it's going to create an extra game in the calendar every weekend for us. Why not use Sunday night? What it needs is a club to really fall in love with it. The boot. Saved by Curto. Stinging the fingertips, and Andrew Naboot just cutting through the Macarthur defence and going direct and forcing the stop. And again, this is late game stuff now. The ball flashing around. Naboot, no time to spend on the ground. He gets back to his feet. Berisha. O'Neill. Contact! Penalty! Macarthur in shock as Melbourne City will get the chance at a stoppage time winner. Aidan O'Neill, a run into the box. Andy Harper, talk us through it.
Well, it's the second really clever piece of play from Valon Barisha. We saw him scoop over for Jamie McLaren in the first half. Now, this time it's Fertilio, but it's Vujica who stretches in, makes the contact on the surging O'Neill. I'm going to say there's no overturning this one, but I thought that at Melbourne earlier this evening for victory against the Mariners. I couldn't believe that penalty was overturned. So we'll wait and see.
VAR has come to Macarthur's rescue once in this half. Valon Barisha appears to have taken over penalty duty from Jamie McLaren. We know that McLaren is currently nursing that toe injury. And Barisha, who scored his penalty against Perth Glory, as VAR continues to look. Right now, it is very much in Sean Evans' hands as the video assistant referee. Chris Beath, the central, is going to go for on-field review.
Here we go.
And it's not just Melbourne City on a knife edge here. It's Adelaide fans, it's Western Sydney Wanderers fans. At this business end of the season, it's a business end call. Andy Harper, what would your decision be?
Well, did he get a touch of the ball there, Vujica? To me, this is getting into the hair splitting, which means you go with the ref's call. He said handball.
No penalty. Didn't need much of a look. Chris Beath. Scott Jamieson goes down to inquire perhaps why it was such a quick review, and clearly not convinced by the explanation. And so for the second time in this half, Melbourne City will not be going to the penalty spot. The first time was offside. The second time, a VAR overrule.
Wow, survived the gallows twice. I'm not... Chris Beath was gesticulating the reason for it. I can't read the body language. You'd need a soundtrack to go with that.
Yeah, I mean, you may be onto it, though. It might have been because Aspro got the ball first.
Well, it was weird. But yeah, who knows? Anyway.
We've already lost 2 of the additional 5 minutes. So now there's more afters. Yellow card here for Bacchus. And Barisha was the man fouled. Back on his feet already. No need to call the trainer. Gee, real exchange of words going on between Bacchus and O'Neill. White line fever well and truly. Melbourne City will continue to throw everything they can at a winner. And Macarthur will continue to think about the counter. A win tonight can do so much for them, Macarthur. The original 5 minutes expired, but expect this one to go considerably longer. Jamison's header. Aspropotomitis. Mid tennis, back and forth. Uskok goes up against Nabut once, twice. Now Barisha blocked by Momwa. To bring the ball under control, and Vujica fouls Tilio. City have gone and run the ball 5 metres closer to goal here, and Chris Beath is just going to slow things down, walk them back.
Just on that VAR, very quickly, Teo, for the record, I think Chris Beath was on a lot safer ground in overturning that one. Not that I agree with it, but a lot safer ground than the situation at Melbourne this afternoon. Just for the record.
And that game ended up 2-0. Mariners thought they had a penalty, they didn't. 3 in the wall. Curto waiting intently on the goal line. Valon Barisha to strike the free kick. He hangs it up and it clears Curtis Good, who was the only attacker for Melbourne City in the vicinity, sliding harmlessly out for a goal kick.
Well, Macarthur encouraging each other on field, the players, as though they've won the match. Never having beaten Melbourne City as a club, and the last time they played, they lost 6-1. This will be a particularly heartening result for Macarthur, just on a minute now to survive.
Miller crashes in for the header.
Or win the match. Forget surviving, says Lockie Rose.
Rose gets the better of Boss. Jethro deflected. Corner kick coming up. Was that their chance? Milos Sajovski, he's got his poker face on. He looks unmoved.
What a great chance. Jed Drew, who scored late against the Mariners, as you called. Just a couple of weeks ago, they scored with a Jake McGinn header. Last touch of the game to beat Brisbane. Can they do it again? Macarthur.
It's going to be Jed Drew to take the corner. Glides it onto the gloves. And it's cleared by Tom Glover. City to counter. Naboot. Tilio, he's got McLaren in the middle. Can they get it right? And the pass is long. McLaren keeps it alive. He crosses it. No one home for City initially. Tilio is there. Still Tilio! It's just wide. Hard-in-mouth stuff. And Jamie McLaren perhaps right to go over to Marco Tilio and say, you should have got the pass right to be first.
Well, Marco Tilio could have won it twice himself. That's a really poorly overhit pass. Just a rush of blood, too excitable. McLaren does well to keep it in the game. And still it's not clear for Macarthur. Tilio backs himself to score. And Philip Curto collapses in a relieved heap.
Well, it was the late sub, McGing, just jumping into Thomas Lavuskok's airspace there. The two Macarthur defenders nearly overcooked it after the let-off from Tilio initially. They reload and go again. 1 minute beyond the initial 5. How much left on Chris Beath's watch? Everyone's sprinting for Melbourne City. O'Neill, Berisha, now Galloway. And O'Neill hits it to Berisha. A teasing ball in, dealt with it at the near post by Aspropotomitis. Curtis Good, Geordie Boss. Boss goes for it, blocked by Uskok. O'Neill brings the ball under his control. Maybe one last hurrah for City. Boss. The touch from McLaren. Boss again and deflected. Will they have the time to take the corner? It looks like they will.
Well, what a tense night in Campbelltown. It's been a ripping contest. So resilient, Macarthur. Persistent Melbourne City, but just have not been able to break through. One disallowed goal with VAR, one penalty overturned by VAR. Milo Stojovski is close to a really big result on Sunday night in front of their fans.
Deep breath for Valon Berisha. Melbourne City. Can they win it at the death? Can they break Macarthur hearts? A huge pack of players to aim for in the penalty area. Berisha swings it into the near post and it's cleared emphatically. And that will do it. Macarthur hold out for a draw. And Milo Stojovski says well done to his assistants after they have been able to repel Melbourne City and dangle the carrot in front of Adelaide United and the rest of the chasing pack, because top spot in the Isuzu UTE A-League Benz is far from a done deal yet. And even though Macarthur weren't able to close out a first ever win against Melbourne City, they are still able to leave with a point that will encourage them that a top 6 berth is not beyond possibility in their run home this campaign. Really good entertainment on Sunday night. It had us on the edge of our seats right until the last, but we couldn't find a winner to split these two teams. All over at Campbelltown Stadium. Macarthur 1, Melbourne City 1. And we are ready to go down to Tristan McManus in the aftermath. Tristan, take it away.
Thanks, Dave. I'm here with Matt Miller. Matt, strong point today. What you make of it?
Yeah, we knew it was going to be tough going against the league leaders, but I think, there's so much belief in our team, and you saw, we left everything on the field, so disappointing to not get the 3 points, but yeah, really, really pleasing signs.
We saw a different game from you today. We used to seeing you bombing up that wing. You were kind of tucked in there. And needs be, they're a great team, Melbourne City, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, we've sort of got to adjust to who we play against, and maybe today I had to be a bit more defensive because we know their quality going forward, but yeah, I thought we were unbelievable on the counter and really played, the game plan really well.
Huge game now next week against Perth.
Yeah, I think every game from here to the end of the season is grand finals for us, so we're really looking to bring that intensity, and I think we showed that today, and if we can continue that and get a bit of momentum, we can really push for the finals.
Congratulations. Good on you today. Appreciate it. Guys, also got Marco Tilio here as well. Marco, sorry about that. There, what you make of that game? It was just like it's one of those days where you just don't take your chances, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I think we dominated most of the game. And in the end, should have scored and shouldn't assist Macca. It's not good enough on my behalf, but I guess we'll just look forward to the next game. We've got this break coming up, and I think it's a much-needed break for us. But yeah, we'll keep pushing.
Adelaide, they're keeping you under the pump here, but again, it's a point away from home, isn't it? Or is it 2 points lost, or is it a point gained?
I think it's 2 points lost for our standard. We got high standards at this club, and we expect to win home and away. So, as I said, yeah, I think it wasn't good enough. We pressed the whole game and had them under the pump, but in the end, transition moment cost us.
Are we at a stage now? We obviously got the international break coming up. You need that to regroup. I mean, you guys have been on top form for the whole season now. You just kind of need a little bit break, take a breather, and then come back to us strong in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, I think so. I think a break would help us. Obviously, we have a lot of players out at the moment, so it will help to recover a lot of the boys. We've been strong up until now, so I think this break will only help us. So,
but anyway, thanks very much for today. Appreciate it. Good luck next week. Back to you guys. And we will be back with more analysis after this, after the break.
Strong and tactical, moving big, impacting radical. Always maximum and past the capital. Never rational, this talent matching. Yo, got a problem. It's confidence, so get it, finna how to grow it. Taking every opportunity is showing. Ain't about to let an unbeliever blow it.
I'm a minority in Afghanistan called the Hazara.
I was born here?
Yeah, you born in
here? In the house?
In this house. My dad came to Australia by boat in search for a better life.
I risk my life so much.
I feel a little scared talking about it, but I don't care anymore. People need to speak up and let the whole world know what's happening.
it's been a game changer this season, A-League's All Access. Don't miss Rama Dakpari. Andy Harper, your 3-2-1 in the Alex Tobin medal. Talk us through your decisions.
Well, Jonathan Aspro will raise an eyebrow perhaps because he scored the own goal, but I maintain that if it wasn't for a Jonathan Aspro, it might have been 5 or 6 for Melbourne City. I thought his general contribution was fantastic. The own goal was an unfortunate one, not a gross error from him. Aidan O'Neill continues to be a powerhouse, and Callum Talbot was excellent down the right-hand side and caused Macarthur plenty of trouble.
Well, the man of the match is ready to talk to us now with Tristan McManus.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm down here with Aspro. Aspro, you don't have an earpiece in. I do. Harps was saying how great you were tonight. I know, unfortunately, you got that on goal, but he said it wasn't for you. It would have been 5 or 6. What do you make of the game tonight? It was a hard-fought point, but a great point.
Yeah, it was. We really disappointed after last week. We went down to a good Mariners team, but we felt like we could compete, and we let ourselves down in that second half. We really wanted to rectify it tonight, and we knew, against Melbourne City, top side, all Socceroos, front line, and we wanted to make sure that we turned up tonight and put in a real good shift, because our finals hopes are on the line. So we had to do it tonight, and yeah, we walk away with a point, but if you asked me before the game if we walk away with a point, I'd be happy. So we'll walk away with it, and we'll move on to next week.
But a lot of the talk was about the last time you met each other a couple of weeks ago. People forget that was very early days in Mile's reign as well, and they were very, very clinical, as they weren't tonight. But you guys are very strong, and certainly when the teams around you there, you're pushing hard for this 6. Teams are dropping points, and you're picking them up. That's the makings of a good team, right?
Yeah. We've struggled to probably find consistency this season, as with a lot of teams in the league. So that's something that we're striving for. And look, we pick up a point along the way. Hopefully that kind of leads us into next 2 weeks when we play Glory away, and we can hopefully pick up 3 points, because in the end we need to look for consistency, and consistency will get us into the finals. I know there's about 6 teams fighting for 6 there, but hopefully we can be that team, and we're only going to find that with consistency. But we didn't look too much on the 6-1 we lost last time. They were very clinical, and we were, hands up, we were quite poor at the back. So we want to rectify that again tonight, and we did that, and we could hopefully walk away with 3 points next week.
And is confidence still high? I mean, you're still within touching distance at 6. You've got Lockie back tonight as well. Joe Drew came back as well. Moody's coming back soon enough as well. You're still in touching distance. Teams are dropping points, and like I said, you're picking them up. Yeah,
we're getting bodies back. Like you said, it's good to have Lockie and Jed in behind. They give us real energy, real pacing behind, and that's what we need. Obviously, at the moment, Jason and Al, they're probably our only 2 strikers that we've got fit and available. They're fully fit and available at the moment, so they're doing a great job. They've combined well for the first goal, but it's good to get bodies back. And like I said, we're just really looking forward to now the back end. We're competing with 5 or 6 teams to that 6th spot, or even 4th or 5th, and we're really looking forward to it. We spoke about it during the week, not kind of dwelling on what's happened last week, and really pushing into what can be a good final series for us if we want it to be.
Must have been pretty nice having Matt Miller playing right back today instead of right wing. That would have been good as well, right?
Do you know what? I don't mind him up there, though. He's got 5 goals for us, our top scorer. So, no, he's been, honestly, he's been invaluable for us this season. You don't know what you're going to get from that here, and sometimes the defenders don't know what they're going to get either. So, and he'll tell you that himself. But it was. He's been a rock for us all year, and pitched in with a few goals, which has been nice. So quality guy and a quality player.
Right, so we knew what we were going to get from you tonight, man of the match. It's good on you. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you to Tristan McManus and man of the match, Jonathan Aspropotometis. And that's going to take us into looking at some of the key moments in this game in the Harvey Norman highlights. And Andy Harper, it was a situation where Melbourne City, well, they were left frustrated for so much of this game because they got hit by a really good counter-attack.
This game and this goal is a real killer for Melbourne City, because their preparation is and their approach is to dominate opponents, knowing that they're going to have a lot of the ball, a lot of the territory, but we're not going to get hit with counter-attacks, simple counter-attacks like this. And this really hurts a team like Melbourne City to concede a goal like this. Curtis Good's been outstanding for them, but that was a horrible error from him. It was a wonderful goal from Romero, set up by Al-Hassan Toure. Either side of that, it was pretty much Melbourne City who were just banging on the door, just couldn't break it down, really. The own goal from Aspro, as I said, that's not just silly play or poor concentration or a bad error. That's one of those unfortunate ones. I'm certainly not prepared to hang him for it, because I thought the rest of his game was excellent. But it did give Melbourne City a taste of something, the opportunity to break the shackles. But again, they couldn't get past the VAR.
And then Wietze here straight away was pleading his innocence, and ultimately VAR would vindicate him. Chris Speed didn't need a long look to overturn this call.
Yeah, We still don't know why it was deemed not, but I don't know. I don't know what was such compelling evidence.
The words clear and obvious have gone by the wayside.
For me, it might have been. It was obviously clear to Chris Pete, but we can't hear what he was saying.
So this is Ned's level player performance. Marco Tilio, there's going to be so much chat about his decision-making and his execution. Andy Harper, these are his numbers, but really, it's a story of what could have been. We heard from him post-game. He was honest about his own performance.
Yeah.
And the scrutiny is going to come for him now.
Well, he's been in that environment at Melbourne City for a couple of years now, and he's, the introspection's going to be in the dressing room before anyone else talks about it. He knows exactly what was at stake on those 2 or 3 occasions tonight. He didn't aim up. He's aimed up plenty in his young career. It's a very exciting prospect, doing very, very well, of course, as a Socceroo. It just wasn't his night tonight, when it really, on another night, could have been. They were very, very good opportunities that he spurned.
Let's get some more of that Melbourne City reaction, because Rado Vidičić is ready with Tristan McManus.
Thank you, guys. Hey, Rado, another point on the road. Is that as far as the positives go today, or is there a lot more to that game than we know?
Look, yeah, I mean, it's 1 point. It was a tough game, and, they played a very defensive-minded game, and it was hard to break them from first moment. And then obviously they scored a goal on fast transition, and but I'm so proud of my boys. I mean, they tried so hard, and they played the way we want to play. I think we kept the ball for almost 80% of the time, and maybe any other game it could be 2 or 3 goals for us, but it is what it is.
As defensive as they played, you still made an awful lot of chances. Any other night, you've shown time and time again how clinical you can be. Is that just what it was? I mean, the 2 penalty decisions then, does that just come down to maybe a bit of bad luck, or just one of those nights?
Look, I don't believe in bad luck and good luck. You make your own luck, and it was just one of those nights where the pass was maybe a little bit too hard, or we were a little bit selfish in those situations, or the shots were blocked. And it's very hard when they got 4 or 5 people right in front of the goal. So it was just, I think, one of those days.
So thank you for your time today. I appreciate it. All the best, Rado.
Thank you to Rado Vidičić speaking there with Tristan McManus. All right, here are the match stats, Andy Harper. I said at halftime, would it be 600 passes to 200 and they lose 1-0? Well, it was 770 to 220 and they draw 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great little snapshot with a passing accuracy of 88% as well, which is a very high, successful completion rate. And a lot of the football was in the final third of Macarthur, and it was because Melbourne City couldn't break through. Macarthur's defence was fantastic. A really good attitude from the Macarthur team tonight. And this, according to Jonathan Aspro-Potomides, and you have to agree with him, is going to set them well. Now, if they can maintain that level of focus and commitment, they're going to be very difficult to beat, and they can scratch up enough points to get into the 6.
Well, let's hear what the Macarthur coach thinks of that. Mile Stojovski is with Tristan.
Thanks, guys. Mile, very strong point. How proud of your team today?
Yeah, very, very proud of them. I think defensively we were, much harder to beat, which we wanted to be. A little bit disappointed that, we should have been a bit better with the ball. I thought we gave the ball away way too much, but, it's against a quality opposition, and credit to Melbourne for coming back strong.
Do you think that was the difference between your team in the first half and the second half? I mean, you took the chances in the first half. Obviously, as the game was getting on, you were under complete pressure for a lot of the game. But very, very strong backline, very disciplined today in your team.
Yeah, very disciplined. I thought they all did great, and all the players worked hard, in the defensive structure. We just like that little bit of quality going forward and keeping the ball.
Your team needs to know that they can take on teams like this and take stuff out of it. Is this going to stand you in good stead going forward now in the last 5 games?
Yeah, definitely. When you have a look at the game, even though we were under the pump for most of the game, we still could have snatched it at the end there with Jed's chance. So, it's great for confidence that we can compete against the best team.
Great stuff. Thanks for today. Congratulations. Keep up the great work. Appreciate it.
And big thank you to Mile Stojovski as well for his thoughts post-game. Jason Romero there making the most of it on the night where he scored his first A-League men's goal. There are the results for the weekend. A quick word, Harps, on the round that was.
Well, a fantastic round of football again. I mean, I find most weekends in the A-League there's great action, and I think the most telling performance of the weekend was the Wanderers away to Sydney, and that derby was a complete smashing, and they did a great job. Good result for Melbourne. Victory keeps them alive. Can you believe we're even talking like that? They've got a mountain of work to do.
Well, let's see the consequences of that result on the table and how it's been reflected in the absolute logjam. Starting at the top, though, because Melbourne City, they are 4 points clear with the game in hand. Western Sydney Wanderers hold third for now. And then the logjam starts. Central Coast and Wellington, they probably think they've got their heads above the parapet. But then from 6th and Sydney FC, that is where the mayhem really kicks off. Sydney on 27 points, -6 goal difference. And then as we flip over the page, we will see the chasing pack just absolutely chaotic. Newcastle, Western and Macarthur all on 25, Glory on 24, Brisbane Roar on 23, and Melbourne Victory, woo, not over. They are still alive. Win a couple in a row, and you just never know your luck in this league, even though they are at the foot of the table at present. So that is how things look at the moment in the Isuzu UTE A-League. Don't forget, on Paramount Plus tonight, 3 of the remaining quarterfinals. Manchester City are already there. Who will join them? Sheffield United versus Blackburn. Come on, Grimsby, as they go to Premier League Brighton, and Man U against Fulham. Go. So don't miss those if you're pulling an all-nighter on Paramount Plus. And the Socceroos are playing Ecuador, 2 matches. It starts on Friday. The welcome back games for our Socceroo heroes from the World Cup, and a couple of exciting new faces as well that will be joining the team and trying to win their first caps in green and gold. Don't miss the Socceroos against Ecuador. Tristan McManus, we've had fun here in the box tonight. Take us home down on the sideline.
Thank you, guys. That's where we leave you from Campbelltown tonight. Another epic round of A-League, the best league in the world. Of course, Socceroos next week, so we will see you for more A-League in 2 weeks' time, guys. It's been a pleasure.